I think that visual arts are becoming more and more important, especially in this day and age when so much occurs on a global scale. As people begin establishing more connections on a wide scale and depending on those connections more, we're realizing how important that visual aspect that we're losing really is. People have been able to call people across the globe for decades, but now people are trying to fill in that gap left by audio alone, as evident in the increasing popularity of FaceTime and Skype or other methods of video chat. Visual arts are a means of expression, to accentuate words or to replace them completely. I wish there would be an easy way to say what the role of visual arts will be specifically, but I think that there lies one aspect that makes visual art so wonderful and important: versatility. Visual arts, if not evident in the way that I've continued to use the broad term visual arts, cover such a wide variety of communication that it seems impossible to imagine narrowing that down until there is a role that covers such a constantly evolving and amorphous subject and the countless applications in which it can be used. I don't think we can say visual arts have a role in our world. In a way, visual arts rule the world and continually advance the way we work and live. As a scientific community, this is definitely a positive influence. Instantaneous images mean advanced discoveries, faster interpretation of data, increased collaborative abilities. As a social community, however, I'm not completely sold on the idea that it's a positive influence. Instantaneous imagery makes people impatient. Nowadays, because we know that images and information are so readily available, we expect everything else to be that immediate. With that said, in an industry that needs to follow the demand, having a high demand for instant gratification does lend well to the fact that films, graphics design, animation, and the like will always be around. I feel like I keep seeing the same thing everywhere: people showing off their budget. Movies don't make it big with gripping stories or inciting action anymore. Unfortunately, you get those big budgets if you're a big studio, so it almost seems to crush the proverbial little guy before he can even get started. I'm hoping that people will start demanding a little more authenticity in the future, but we'll see. Well, continuing on from above, it's all about the graphics and special effects, though now they've gone a step further and it's all about 3D. Up until very recently, I absolutely despised 3D. It was just another way to add more hype and have people see a movie more than once while in theaters and charge them even more. While I appreciated and admired the standard created in that movie Avatar, I feel like it was outrageously overrated. I recently saw another movie in 3D, the Ghost Rider sequel, and while the movie itself was a far cry from the greatest movie I've ever seen, the 3D effect wasn't there just to add cheesy special effects. It was employed to add depth. There were some scenes that had to be filmed with such a shallow depth of field to keep so little subject matter in focus, and yet there was this implied depth from the 3D that just blew my mind. Of course, since then, I've been looking more into what it takes to work on 3D projects and just the general idea of not just 2 dimensions to master and manipulate, but 3. My favorite style of visual art is when people break the rules, not just for the sake of breaking them, but with a purpose in mind. The recent masterpiece, in my mind anyway, The Artist, was absolutely incredible. In an era when people are continually pushing for fancier editing, better effects, substantial graphics, and anamorphic lenses, it was so refreshing to see something so beautifully simple and familiar. I couldn't help but love it. Another thing that I love to see is authenticity. It's rare in the entertainment industry today, and just so utterly cleansing. I hear that J.J. Abrams is a stickler for the real deal, and he will do everything in his power to make something real before he jumps on board this CGI bandwagon, so I certainly respect that. To an extent, yes, but it's more influenced me in the sense of, oh, that's definitely what I should not do, rather than the, oh, I want to do that kind of way. Also, I tend to get pretty jealous of the people that have made it big for what I tell myself are unjust reasons. So oftentimes that jealousy will push me to do something even better, just to prove to myself that I can.